welcome back to the Fantasy Football School. Today we're going to talk about the top wide receiver prospects for the 2026 NFL Draft. And first we're going to look at the honorable mentions. Normally I have a top 10, but a lot of these are pretty great, recruits. It's just didn't have the opportunity as a freshman to, make a splash. So without further ado, let's start with some of these honorable mentions. First, we got Makai Lemon, USC. He had a pretty okay freshman year, 6 receptions, but he was buried in the depth chart. They had Zach Branch, Brendan Rice, Washington, and he just didn't have the opportunity to go on the field. But he was a highly recruited prospect, and he should have the opportunity this coming season with only Zach Branch and I guess Deuce Robinson ahead of him. But the thing is, he's downgrading from from Caleb to Miller Moss, so we'll see. But he still has a lot of potential and should produce much better this upcoming sophomore season. And then next, another highly touted prospect or recruit, we got Brandon Innes of The Ohio State University. It's a much more crowded room now that they added Jeremiah Smith. They still have Carnell Tate and Igbuka, and then the two-headed running back. So I don't know how much opportunity he'll get this season, but he was a highly touted, recruit also. And normally talent wins out, so we'll see. And another, we got Jurion Dickey, who didn't really hit the field last year because of, much better options at receiver, and he was a freshman, so not a lot of expectation, but he was a highly recruited wide receiver. So, and then now they brought in Evan Stewart. They got Dylan Gabriel at quarterback. If he somehow hits the field and get consistent playing time with Dylan Gabriel at quarterback, he should definitely blow this one reception freshman year out the water. And then next we got Hakeem Williams, FSU. So a couple players left the FSU program to go pro, and this is Hakeem Williams' opportunity to blow up. They did get a decent quarterback in DJ Uiagalelei, but he's not really an elite passer in terms of production. He's been decently improving each year since he left Clemson, but we'll see. But with Williams, elite size, he should slide into that, I guess, Johnny Wilson / Keon Coleman role, and should definitely blow this 5 reception freshman year. And then moving on, we got Jaquace Padaway, Oklahoma Sooners. He had a decent freshman year, but he should get more opportunity, especially a decent he should with Connor Weigman is the quarterback, or is it Jackson Arnold? I forget. I always mix them up, but they should build up on their chemistry and should produce this upcoming season. And this one, Mikey Williams, he actually had a good season. It's just, I just want to, these last couple players, I just want to bring them up. They're not in a highly touted program. I mean, Utah is pretty good. It's just, he's kind of small at 5'8", 180, but he did have a pretty good freshman year, and I just want to shout him out. And another one, we got Shelton Sampson, who absolutely did nothing, but the wide receiver room for LSU is pretty wide open, and essentially that's the other wide receiver outside of the Ohio State. So he'll get a lot of opportunity, hopefully, because he got that big 6'4", 190 and should be almost like that Brian Thomas. I'm not saying he's gonna be, but he'll have the opportunity to do so. And finally, we'll move on to our top 10 here, starting with number 10. I have 2 players in my number 10. First, I got Eric Singleton. A couple of them are from lower level programs that I want to shout out. We got Eric Singleton, Georgia Tech, who had a pretty good freshman year at 48 receptions, 714, 6 touchdowns in a Georgia Tech offense that barely passed the ball. So this an indication as a freshman he should blow up again, and he should improve this. And if he does, he'll be one of the top prospects this upcoming for this class. but just want to shout out Georgia Tech. And then my other number 10, like who's tied for Eric Singleton, I got London Humphreys from Vanderbilt. Also had a decent freshman year, but he's a much better size than Eric Singleton, and he produced for a Vanderbilt team at 22, 400, and 4 touchdowns. So if he can improve that as a sophomore, he's definitely going to be in the scope for a lot of NFL scouts. And then moving on to number 9, finally we got Jaden Greathouse, Notre Dame, who had a decent freshman year, but that wide receiver room is going to be open, and he's going to have the opportunity to be the top prospect. They got a new quarterback in Riley Leonard, and his arrow should only point up. And number 8, one of my favorite wide receivers in this class, Nick Harbor, South Carolina Gamecocks. Leggett leaving for the pro, and then he gets a new quarterback in Lenore Sellers, he's been building chemistry with. But this dude is fast, big, strong. This dude is gonna break college football if he somehow have a breakout sophomore year, because at 6'5", 241, this dude should be a tight end, but if you watch him, he's smooth. And number 7, one of the better breakout at wide receiver his freshman year, we got Kevin Concepcion for the NC State Wolfpack. Dude had an amazing freshman year, probably had the best freshman year out of this class. 7 on reception, 800 yards, 10 touchdowns, and he should only improve. And I can't wait for next season for NC State. But since he's such a lowly program in terms of exposure, I can't really put him up that high. He doesn't have that elite size. He could possibly have grown. He could probably transfer too, but we'll see. And then next, maybe I should have put Kevin ahead of Jalen Hale, because he did have a pretty bad injury, and he's just coming back from injury, but he's shown flashes, and he was a pretty highly touted recruit. So right now I have him number 6, and in that wide open Alabama room, he could make noise if he is healthy by the time the college season starts. And then moving on to number 5, we got Tyler Brown, Clemson Tigers. Very deep wide receiver room, but with Antonio Williams and TJ Moore, the freshman, but he should be the wide receiver 2 at worst, and can challenge Antonio Williams for wide receiver 1. But thing is, it all depends on if Cade Klubnik sucking. But he did have Cade Klubnik at quarterback last year, and he still managed to produce with 52 receptions, very, very low average yards, but he did get 4 touchdowns. So expect a much better sophomore year, especially because Klubnik can't be worse than what he did last year. So then moving on to number 4, we got Jonte Cook, Texas Longhorns, who will have opportunity, but Texas did add a couple of pretty good transfers in Matthew Golden and Isaiah Bond. He could challenge both for sure, but I think Isaiah Bond's gonna be the top prospect. But the good thing is, it should elevate his game, and with the stability at quarterback, bringing back Quinn Ewers, it should also, it's a positive for his progression. And then number 3, we got Carnell Tate, one of the top recruits last year, who had a decent freshman year, especially in that pretty deep receiver room with Marvin Harrison, Igbuka. They had Brandon Ennis, but he actually didn't do anything. And then they added Jeremiah Smith, but he will challenge to be wide receiver 1. I like Igbuka, but Carnell Tate has that more alpha size, so I think he's gonna be the top receiver for Will Howard, and then Igbuka in the slot and Jeremiah Smith on the other side. But we'll see. But he did have a pretty good freshman year, so expecting better, especially in a win now team that Ohio State is. They added a couple pretty decent players at the portal, and a pretty consistent quarterback in Will Howard. And moving into number 2, one of my favorite prospects in this class, and just had an amazing freshman year. Probably had the more breakout year outside of Kevin Concepcion. We got Eugene Wilson III for Florida State. We'll have a second year with Graham Mertz at quarterback and should only improve. They did Ricky Pearsall did leave, so he should be the top dog in that room. And I think he's a much better version of Ricky Pearsall, and I think he might challenge for number one in this class. Honestly, the only problem is he's kind of undersized, but he is stocky and he's quick. So, and finally, my number one prospect, who's just the most explosive player in this class at this moment, we got Zachariah Branch from USC. Only problem is he's downgrading at quarterback, but he doesn't really need good quarterback play because you just need to give him the ball in an open spot, and this dude can take it home. So he'll probably elevate his game this year. He'll get more targets. He should be the number one option. Makai Lemon's there and like Deuce Robinson, but they're not on the same realm as explosivity as Zach Branch. Everyone's saying he might be the next Tyreek Hill, and I kind of see it. So that's my top wide receiver prospects for the 2026 class. So I'll do the running backs soon. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace.